All right, we're tackling osteoporosis on this Move It Monday. June is Men's Health Awareness Month, and this is an issue that can happen to a lot of folks, men and women, as they age. Osteoporosis, a bone disease that often leads to bones easily breaking.
Yeah, but is it preventable or treatable in any way? Well, we have a doctor in to talk about this. Dr. Michael McClung, the founding director of the Oregon Osteoporosis Center in Portland. He has all the answers for us this morning. Appreciate the time.
Yes, good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Right.
Again, appreciate you coming in. So I want to backtrack just a little bit and just start with, what is osteoporosis?
Sure. It's the bone disease that happens as a consequence of bone loss that happens in both men and women as we grow older, or with diseases that can be harmful to the bone.
And really, this can be a big problem for older adults and can lead to some really serious complications.
Important fractures, especially of the spine and of the hip, are associated with disability, physical and psychosocial disability, and increased mortality. A hip fracture is one of the most important causes of death in older people.
Right. I don't know if I would certainly be able to tell, though, how strong are my bones, right? So how do you know what the risk factors might be here if you are at risk?
Well, first, there's a bone density test that's been available for many years, and we use that to determine the bone mass and the strength of the bone, and then we combine that information with a variety of clinical risk factors: someone's age, their gender, whether they've had a fracture, what their other medical problems are, and we can make a very accurate assessment of fracture probability. So we identify people who are at high risk of fracture, and for those patients we have a whole menu of treatment options that are available to strengthen the skeleton, even rebuild the skeleton with some of the new bone building drugs, whereby we can reduce the risk of fracture and prevent the complications of osteoporosis.
We just had up a moment ago, and I'm going to ask our producer Christian and director to throw that clip back up there. There you go. So there's the side-by-side showing the normal bone versus one with osteoporosis. I am curious to get your analysis on this. What are we looking at exactly?
Sure. On the left is normal bone that's in the spine or the ends of long bones called trabecular bone, where the structure is consisted of plates that are very strong and make the bone be strong. With aging, bone loss occurs, but more importantly, the structure of the bone deteriorates, resulting in very thin little gracile trabeculae, they're called, and that bone is weak, and with modest trauma or injury, then the bone can collapse and fractures occur.
Sure. So I am curious to ask, you talked about some of those preventative drugs in the bone growing drugs. And this may be a silly question, but I think about, the 90s and the 2000s and the campaigns we all grew up on, which was drink milk, calcium, strength. What role does that actually play? Calcium
is important, particularly in kids while bones are growing. But once we're adults and bones are through growing, having adequate calcium is important, but not enough. We'd all wish that good diet, exercise, avoiding harmful habits like smoking would be effective in preventing bone loss, but it won't stop the process of aging. And so for people who are genetically predisposed, who are small, or who have other medical problems that predispose to osteoporosis, then we have drugs that can be used to strengthen the skeleton. The most important thing is for men or women who had a fracture, they need to know that they had a bone attack. And like with a heart attack, they need to be evaluated, and we can then determine whether they would be candidates for a drug to either maintain their bone mass or to improve and strengthen their bone mass to reduce the risk of future fractures.
So if you are a younger adult, if you've hopefully got some time on your side to try and get ahead of this, are there some lifestyle changes or exercise programs that can make a difference down the road?
Not specifically, but being in good general health it works.
It all helps.
Not only for the skeleton, but for muscle mass, muscle strength, heart disease. So good nutrition, adequate intakes of calcium and vitamin D, regular physical activity, avoiding the harmful habits of excessive alcohol or smoking, being nice to your kids. All of those things are recommendations we can make to everyone, of course.
That's great. That's great. Okay, well, before we let you go, where can people find more info if they want to learn more?
The Bone Health and Osteoporosis Foundation is a national organization that has put together a guide to a man's guide to osteoporosis, as well as information for women. Their website at the BHOF is a great place for information.
That's
All
great.
right. Dr. McClung, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
It's some great
My
things
pleasure.
to keep in mind. Always easier to try and prevent and get ahead
Yep.
and treat than to have to deal with that bone attack afterwards.
Right.
So if you want to learn your risk and what you can do about it, go to bonehealthandosteoporosis.org.